Hello guys, Student Sosi here. So a friend of mine who goes by the name Egg and Bacon, cool name by the way, just sent me a message saying that I have a friend of mine who's also having problems with his PC. Now he sent me this PC part list. So he said, can you help me fix this build if there's something wrong with his build? So in this video, we're going to be fixing that guy's build and we're going to be seeing what's good, what's not. And without wasting any time, let's jump right into it. So this is the guy's build. Well, honestly, it's a horrible build. Basically because this is a kind of like a $1,000 build, but for some reason they say RX 6600, which is very bad for performance, honestly. Well, this is a very bad build because you wasted a lot of money on the CPU right here, the i5 12400. This is a very bad CPU. I will not recommend this CPU. I would recommend something like an i5 12400F. Well, actually, it will give you the same performance in most cases. For example, if you get an i5 12400F, it's at around $110 right now, but this one is at around $144. It's very expensive, and you don't actually need the integrated graphics because you're going to be buying a graphics card. You don't need to go with the non-F version. You have to always go with the F version, unless if you're like, I don't know, you don't know a lot about PCs, but that's why I'm here to help you out. Now for GPU, you want with the RX 6600, the 8GB version. Not a very bad GPU, but for $1,000 budget, you can get something even way better than this. This is a very horrible GPU to fit in a $1,000 budget. For cooler, you went with the Thermalright Phantom Spirit. I have no problem with the CPU cooler. This is a very powerful CPU cooler with two fans, 120mm fans, ARGB. Now for motherboard, you went with the ASRock B760M. This is a very good motherboard. I like this motherboard. There's nothing wrong with this motherboard. You can also fit this motherboard in a $1,000 build as well, because motherboards, they are mostly flexible, and sometimes you don't need to invest a lot of cash in them because you can actually change motherboard as time goes on, especially with the 1700 LGE motherboards. Now for memory, you went with the G.Skill Flare. Nice memory, but right now it's actually bumped up to $85. Very expensive. I didn't expect $85 from this because it used to be somewhere around $70 or something like that. CL timing of 36 is not bad. It's better than 40 because 40 is way horrible. For storage, you went with the Team Group PCIe Gen 4 solid states for around $60. Very fantastic. I would prefer this as well. Now for the case, you went with this one, NZXT H-Flow. A very good case. I could also prefer it, but it's kind of like expensive. But no ARGB or RGB. Why? Kind of like confuses me because for the cooler, you went with the RGB, the Phantom Right. I think you're like kind of confused. I don't know, you want NZXT, but at the same time you want RGB, but no RGB. You have to actually pick a lane, otherwise you'll be like wasting money on things you don't actually want. Now for the power supply, you went with overkill, very overkill actually for the 6600. This is 1000 watts Corsair fully modular power supply. You don't actually need fully modular. Fully modular power supplies are kind of like expensive all day, every day. This one is going at around $170 on Amazon. On Newegg, it's kind of like expensive. You don't actually need this kind of firepower. Something like a 55 watts is good enough for the RX 6600. It's a lot of money wasted on this power supply. This build of yours is a 1080p build with $1,000 for budget. You should aim at 1440p with this kind of money. Now this is my 1440p gaming PC build that can play any game in 1440p. So I saw that you are into Intel and AMD, so I still went with the same thing. So for GPU, I went with the RX 6700 XT with 12GB of VRAM. This GPU right now is at $430. It's a very good GPU. You can play any game in 1440p, and in 1080p, it's a beast. This GPU was around the same performance as a RTX 4060, but it's better than the RTX 4060 because this one has 12GB of VRAM. It's AMD. Of course, you know it's cheaper than the 4060. You can get around 140 FPS in Call of Duty Vanguard, around 163 FPS in Apex Legends, in Fortnite around 180 FPS. This is a very good GPU. I prefer this GPU a lot. Now for the CPU, I went with the 13th gen. This CPU is better than the 12400 non-F or non-K version. It's even cheaper than the 12400. 10 cores, 16 thread. It's perfect for 1440p GPUs. You can even pair this CPU with GPUs like the RTX 4070 Ti or the 4080 if you want, or the new RX 9070 XT. Now for cooling, you don't need something that is very powerful. Actually, you can get away with IG cooling RGB CPU cooler for around $18. So for motherboard, I went with the same one as you went with. This is a very good motherboard. Like I said, for $1,000 budget, you can fit this motherboard, the ASRock B760 Micro ATX 1700 LGA motherboard for around $103. And for memory, I went with the Team Group T-Create Expert 32GB 2x16GB DDR5 RAM running at 6000 MHz with CL timing of 30 for around $93. Very good RAM sticks, as your motherboard also supports 6000 megahertz RAM sticks. So for storage, I went with the Crucial P3 Plus 1TB Gen 4 NVMe for around $61. Very good M.2 1TB is a lot for gaming. Actually, I'm using 500 gig right now. It's very, very bad in my experience. You need 1TB for gaming, especially if you have $1,000 as your budget. So for the case, I went with the Corsair 3500 ARGB ATX mid-tower case for around $905. This is a very good case. The quality is as good as the NZXT cases. And if you don't like the RGB, you can actually turn it off, but I bet you will like the RGB or the ARGB on this case. Now overall, it's a very fantastic case. Now for the power supply, I went with the MSI Meg, a 650 watt power supply. It's going at around $65 on Newegg, and on Amazon it's kind of like expensive. I would prefer that you buy it on Newegg right now. It's very cheap. 650 watt is good enough power supply. As you can see, the estimated wattage for our system will be around 487 watts, which means we have even like 150 watts extra power or 100 watts extra power. You need to have at least 50 watts of extra wattage on your system with your power supply. So our total price was around $996.49. Now if you want me to help you fix your build, or if you're new to gaming PC or you never built a gaming PC before, let me know in the comment section. I can help you out for free. Now see you in the next video.